Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining. And yeah, as part of Low Vision Awareness Month, which is February, right? So we thought we'll take this opportunity to kind of have a speaker, and we'll talk about the topic, right? Understand more about people with visual impairment, people with low vision, and what kind of accommodations or what kind of challenges people will face, at the same time what kind of solutions are there, and so what kind of accommodations or assistive technologies are there for people to have a meaningful and inclusive spaces for people with low vision, right? So with that, we thought of having a fireside chat, right? And so yes, and yeah, I'll not go more in detail about Giftable, right? Just on a high level, as a glimpse. So Giftable closely works in the space of disability, right? So mainly in the verticals of health, education, and livelihood of people with disabilities, making them more independent and self-sustainable, and living so that they're living with dignity, right? And especially in the rural parts of India, aspirational districts, regions in India. So we closely work there. And again, we do a lot of workshops, audits, volunteering engagements, so on and so forth. And yeah, coming to today's agenda. So yeah, we are here for fireside chat with Nidhi Jain, right? So yeah, thank you, Nidhi, for joining us, agreeing for being here with us, right? And I'll start off with a quick intro of yours, so yes. So yeah, Nidhi is a senior product manager in Microsoft. She has over 7+ years of experience building products like Windows assistive technologies like Narrator, Voice Access, Cortana, and Microsoft Search for Enterprise. She is also a core team member of Disability ERG India chapter at Microsoft, and is passionate about sensitization and creating awareness of building inclusive workplaces. Prior to her professional career, she did her master's in business administration from IIM Ahmedabad. In her personal time, she enjoys practicing yoga, learning different forms of dance and alternative therapy. Being visually impaired herself, she actively works for the community through mentorship, testing new technology, or talking about her lived experience in various forums. Once again, thank you, Nidhi, for being here, and yeah, taking your time here, right? So yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Krishna. I would say thank you to you and the entire Giftable team first to give me this opportunity to talk about my experiences about low vision in this month. So thank you so much for inviting me and giving this the opportunity once again.
Yes, yeah. So Nidhi, I have a couple of questions, right? Like we'll go one by one, and so we would love to hear from you, your thoughts, your experiences, right? Your journey, so on and so forth. So yeah, I'll be giving you questions, and so yeah, the first one, so just wanted to know like what inspired you to focus on creating inclusive spaces for people with low vision.
Sure. I would say very good afternoon, everybody. And as I was telling, again, thank you so much for coming today. And though it's a chat between me and Krishna, we definitely want to hear your inputs along the way. So please put it on chat, and then we can take the questions as Krishna wills, right? But to his specific question on what inspired me specifically to go into this realm of flow vision is my lived experiences, right? So they say until you experience it yourself, you don't develop that empathy or sort of get serious about it. So it so happened that when I was 17 or 18, I was diagnosed with this genetic disorder called retinitis pigmentosa, which could have rendered me blind. So the doctor said it could be 2 months, 20 months, or 2 years, or 20 years, right? They were not sure if and when I would be blind, but they did say that this is a degenerative disorder. You will get blind, etc., etc. So it started with night blindness as an immediate thing, which sort of worried or bothered me. And slowly, in the last 13 or so years, we've went through the journey of being able to not see properly on the screen, on the books, etc. So needing like magnified text, to like using high contrast with magnification, to a point where I think now I completely rely on screen readers, wherein my readability is like I'm completely blind from a readability perspective. So yeah, I think unless I personally had that encounter, that sort of inspired me to basically improve the awareness among others, as well as I grew in this journey and understood this space myself.
Yeah, thank you, Nidhi. And again, yeah, technology plays a crucial role, right? The
Yeah.
support or the kind of yeah, the role it plays when it comes to people with disabilities. Yeah, that moving on to the next one, like so, what is? I just wanted to know more about so what is low vision, what is visual impairment, and what are your
Mm.
thoughts about it?
Yeah. No, you're right, Krishna. Like it's very. I would say it's a very black. It's not a black and white. It's a lot of shades of gray. Low vision, visual impairment, blind. Like you hear all of these words, and it's really like a spectrum, right? So it's not like,
Yes,
oh, this person can see this much and hence he is low vision, versus this person cannot see anything and it's blind. It's really a spectrum. Now, if to according to me, anybody who does not have 2020, which is the perfect vision, has low vision, right? Like now, what happens is there are interventions like your glasses or your lenses, which help you correct the 2020 vision up till a certain point. And after a point, even that, it becomes very difficult for the glasses that you wear itself to sort of correct the vision and make sure you get the perfect 2020 vision, right? Like, so we are seeing myopia and hypermetropia sort of very prominent today, even in children, right? Children as early as 3 years, 4 years old. So I would say everybody who starts in that spectrum is a person with low vision, to all the way to a person who requires other interventions, which is not necessarily something that the lenses or the medical field could provide, but that is where technology helps, wherein people require contrast, magnifications, to a point where people, rely on some like rely on other senses, right, to do go about their everyday jobs. And I know we'll talk a little bit more later about what is this technology, etc. But if you were to think about it, a person who is not having anybody, who is not having the perfect 2020 vision, is one end of like, to a person who is completely blind. All of them in the spectrum and all the shades of gray in between these two would fall into somebody with low vision, right? Today, for our discussions, I'll try and sort of focus and give a lot of examples for people who have a little bit of vision. They need some support or augmentation in terms of magnification or high contrast, etc. But you will see that even people with low vision would require a lot of things that maybe help the person with complete blindness as well. So you'll see how it's really the solutions that we'll talk about, or the inclusion practices we talk about, really helps everybody in the spectrum.
thank you, Nidhi. I think that brings to my next question, right? Like you told, so low, like visual impairment is a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Different people have different visions and different so percentages, right? So when it comes to people in a spectrum, so can you share me some of the common challenges individuals with low vision
Mm.
encounter in everyday environments? I think you can kind of so break the situation, like break the day, for
Yeah.
example, morning or afternoon in the like in the daytime in
Yeah.
the workspace, or so
Yeah.
after the workspace. Yeah, you can just break the day and
Yeah.
explain.
Yeah. Yeah, I typically love to give an example and give examples of what things are required in a day. I might pick a lot of things along the way during the day, and so that'll give you a lot of examples, right? And then
Yeah,
we
yeah.
could see if there are any specific examples you're interested in. So, like, now let's assume I take my examples, for example. So I am a person now, I would say I'm blind. I was also a person with low vision, so it's again like somewhere in between. So I'm a working employee. go to office. And so my mornings are typically about getting up, making sure you're prepped for office, you do your basic morning routine, etc. Now let me take examples of a couple of things that a person with low vision could need assistance in the morning, right? Now typically what you all do when you get up and you're getting ready for work, right? You want to match your clothes. I would assume everybody wants to look put together. Now, assume a person who is colorblind or is blind, has vision, but has bad peripheral vision, which is not allowing them to identify colors. Um, can you imagine a day where you have worn something really, not matching each other, and how people would actually stare, right, if you go out like that? So this is something a person might dread, right? So how do you make sure that what you have in terms of the colors and the different clothes, like a girl like me would have like so many piles of clothes lying there. How do you make sure you're picking the right set of things to match with each other and go, right? There are many solutions, right, people do in this situation. Some people label their clothes, like before anything, like before even going to technology. I think your other senses come into the play, right? Like you touch and feel, you know the exact pattern and texture, how a particular top or a pant would feel. Some people, use that in play. Some people say, oh no, let me just wear like a one piece, which doesn't work for boys, right? They do need a pant and a shirt, for example, as a minimum. So some people touch and feel, and they know the texture. Some people take the help of their parents or sibling or partner, and like on the weekend only do the sets of the clothes for the week, and have them ready so that there's no time getting wasted. Some people use physical labels, right, to sort of label their clothes so that matching things become easier on the time when they need it. So these are like NFC based chip, like buttons or labels that come in, that you could apply to your clothes, and you could use your app on a phone, or basically an NFC reader on your phone, to sort of listen what that chip or the button could be, so that you could match your clothes. Or you could go in another extreme. You have a lot of applications like Seeing AI, or other applications which have like the color detection channel in it. So you point your mobile camera with that application on, and it tells you and identifies the color of a dress. So it's simple thing, like just making sure you're looking put together. You don't have a lot of things are still unsolved, even for this simple thing, right? Like, hey, are your clothes having any marks? Like I remember every morning before leaving, if especially if I'm wearing something light colored, I would go either to my husband or my mother-in-law, whatever. I say, hey, there's no marks, there's no unwanted marks on the cloth, right? Because you've matched your colors, but how do you know if there's something that you spilled last time, right? So simple things like that also might becomes, it's not an everyday thing, to be frank, in the top of the mind, but definitely something that is that needs a little bit of intervention, especially if there's an important meeting you have to attend to, and so on and so forth, right? So that's just one example. The second example, since you've said morning, I said the person is fully ready, etc. Now they want to commute to work. Thanks to a lot of these applications, people are independent in terms of at least getting a commute, getting a ride, so that they could go to work. But once they reach the place of work, what about the last mile destination finding, right? Like, yes, with time, people become very, the memory of people with low vision, as I said, other senses help you a lot. So you memorize your route as to, okay, if you're dropped here every day, this is how you navigate yourself in the last mile from the gate to your seat in the office, right? But typically these change. Your workplace changes, your team location changes within the building. You might you might be in a role which requires you to go to different places frequently, right? So how do you make sure that sort
Yeah.
of happens, right? So indoor, it is a mix of indoor and outdoor, the last mile navigation. Again, lot of technologies are coming out there, that are trying to help, but those are again helping for familiar routes, right? What about unfamiliar routes, etc.? So that becomes a little bit of a, yeah, not again, as I said, I'll try and be dramatic in terms of the examples I use, but not necessarily in every day. If it is a route that the person takes every day, they get used to it. It's just initially a couple of weeks that requires some sighted help with a person, etc. So this is about like even getting to work, right? Now when you are at work, you get to go about your day assuming you have the required tools. Now many organizations and employers do not even hesitate in providing the required tools for the employee to be productive. And what are these tools, right? These tools vary depending on the needs of the person themselves. So if you're talking about magnification software, it could be a screen reader, or maybe other physical devices. If there's a lot of paperwork involved in some organizations, then there are physical magnifiers, which are called like video magnifiers, etc., that are available as well. So it
Yes,
really depends on the kinds of tools would depend on the extent of the low vision that a user has or a employee has versus the kind of work that is involved at workplace, right? So this is about making sure the person themselves are independent, they have the tools and the technologies needed. Now what about the role of people who are colleagues at workplace, right? so
yes,
um, it's definitely like Krishna, you'll find it really fascinating that a lot of times the colleagues feel like, oh, they have to do so much that they do nothing, right? So I'll give you a few examples, right? A lot of times when the disability is invisible, so what I mean is the eyes look perfect, they don't really understand, the employee does not use a white cane, they wouldn't even realize, somebody like a colleague or coworker wouldn't even realize that there is a person who has low vision who might require certain things in a different way, right? um, to another extreme where somebody is using a white cane, or they're physically the eyes are deformed, or they have a squint in the eye, etc., then people become so, a lot of times, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people become so conscious about the fact that there is somebody like that, in the assumption that they need to do a lot to support them, they do nothing, right? And let me know if you're interested for me to talk a little bit about how colleagues can help as well, and what kind of things they could do to make sure the employee workplace is also inclusive.
yes, yes. Let's come to that. But before that, one more question I have.
Uh-huh.
So like, yeah, just before asking that, I just wanted to say that so I'm a person with cerebral palsy, so I'm a wheelchair user, and so related when I kind of go out and so like I also like ride a two wheeler, modified two wheeler. Sometimes people get overprotective,
Hmm.
right? They tend to come and help
Correct.
me whenever I don't require sometimes, right? So and again, yeah, some people think I'm very fragile just because I'm on a wheelchair. So they feel like if I touch your leg, you get pain, right? There's so many
Hmm.
misconceptions. There's so many myths. So it comes to people
Yeah.
with low vision, right? So
Yeah.
what are those misconceptions are there? And so
Yeah.
yeah, I want to know more about that.
Sure. Um, I think, as I was mentioning, until the disability is invisible, right, and people don't realize, I think no misconceptions come into play. As soon as they realize that, anybody, when I say they, like anybody realizes there is something there, there's a lot that comes into play. For example, um, somebody would not address the person with low vision directly. I don't know why. Like if
Yes.
I give you an example, right? I am in at workplace. I'm along with my colleague, and even forget like a meeting room, right? There typically these kind of things do not happen. But if I am in the cafeteria and the person who is like getting food wants to know what I want to eat, they would ask somebody who is beside me instead of me, for example, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just, And I would be in this mode like, hey, but I can speak. You could directly ask me, right? I cannot see, but I have my own power of making decision as to what I want to eat. Right? This happens with me in many places, like on airplanes, in like restaurants, like everywhere. People, it's like they try to look at you and they, you know what I mean, like they try to look at you and then look at the other person and then ask as to, what will ma'am have, what will sir have, and I'm like, why do you, at least ask me the question and let me. And I've seen this happen with like so many friends of mine who have low vision or blindness, right, in different situations. And people do want to look at you, like, because they feel you're different, they're trying to observe you, more. So they look at you, but they don't talk to you. They look at you, they look at the other person, and sort of do not address you. So I think addressing the person in question is definitely important. Two, I also feel people think, now here's the thing about low vision and blindness that come into picture, right? People think that people think about this as black and white, right? As I was talking, it is not necessary, it's not actually black and white. So people think, oh, but you could see that there was a paper here, right? Oh, which means you could see everything, versus, oh, you couldn't read that particular word, which means you can't see anything, it's all dark for you. It's really not the case, right? Like,
Mm,
what a person sees, they could have a perfect central vision, which means that their readability is not affected, while their peripheral vision is affected, which means that their ability of figuring out the dynamic things, low light, identifying things which do not have good contrast. So, for example, a black pen on a dark table that is placed would be affected, versus somebody could be opposite, which is their peripheral vision is absolutely fine, but they cannot read even one word, or maybe they need magnification because their central vision is affected. Depends on the amount of central vision that's affected, and some people could be in the mid between of all that.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
feel, this assumption of, oh, either a person could see everything versus nothing, is something that again happens. I would like to take a third example and sort of weave it into the after work. Given the previous question we were talking about, which is life in a day, is
yes,
about visiting, like, entertainment, right? Like post work, people with low vision, no vision, everybody needs entertainment. Now, entertainment could be in the form of you visiting places like going to a restaurant, going to a movie with your friends or family, or consuming your a particular video or whatever you want to binge watch in Netflix, which is from the comfort of your sofa. Now, in all of these three places, I would say, I talk both about misconceptions and also about technology that helps, right? A lot of people, like, when I enter with a white cane, in a movie theater, are very confused, right? There's like so many whispers that go around which keep saying, okay, why are you here? I mean, you cannot see, so why are you here? I mean, again, nobody has the strength to talk to you and tell you about it, but this person can hear, like, you can, I'm moving down the aisle and I can hear the whispers at times, right? So, and then you're like, okay, you cannot see, but you could still hear the movie and enjoy it, right? Similarly, hear it from the comfort of your sofa on a Netflix or an Amazon Prime and enjoy it. So I think, again, misconception about uh, a person not being able to do something completely, as you mentioned, right? The wheelchair and the fragility. Like, people immediately
yes,
say, hey, do you want to sit down? I'm like, no, I can stand in the queue. Why you, I can very much stand. So I think there's a lot of, and again, sorry, I don't mean to say everybody does it out of protection, right? And the people are trying to be sweet to you and they're trying to be protective about you. So I don't mean to sort of disrespect anybody who does that. But I just want to make everybody understand that, while I completely get it that it's hard as to, hey, how much do you offer help versus not, I think erring on the side of asking if there is any help that is needed, and then depending on the answer, just staying away from it. If folks say that they are good with what, the situation or what they are doing, would be, I think, a right balanced approach. But let me just add one more a bit about the technology and the entertainment pieces we are talking about, right? So I was talking about reaching work and sort of doing things with the tools that you require, and also colleagues. And then once you get back home, consuming entertainment. So again, a lot of technology is helping, right? Something called an audio description is something that if you would all would have noticed has started to come um, in all the original content that like these content platforms like video streaming platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime are adding today. And all of that is possible because of technology. Audio description is nothing but describing in audio all the visual elements in a scene, right? So for example, um, I was watching this movie the other day, and it was clearly describing wherever there is silence, right? It's describing in a different voice in the ear what's happening. And so, me and my husband, we were watching, and I said after the movie, "Did you notice that that was such a smart thing by the director?" And my husband was like, "Oh, when did you see? I mean, when did?" I never observed that detail because there was no dialogue on the scene. But me, as an I was consuming audio description, and so I could actually help him also give some vivid detail about a scene which he himself missed being a sighted user. So just wanted to sort of share how both technology could be helpful at entertainment, and also your answer on the misconceptions. Sorry, I took a little longer to because I mixed both the questions, but yeah, I hope that answers.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Nidhi. Just a technical question. So you told your
Yeah,
husband and you were watching Netflix together,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So how could only you hear the audio description and he not? Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. So what we did in this situation is I was basically in this situation we didn't see it together, unfortunately. So if I would have
oh,
played the audio descriptions, both of us would have heard it out
yes,
loud. Today there is no way that while you're co-watching, you get a different experience versus the partner. But this one we just watched it in different times of the day, and so we were just having a discussion about how beautiful the direction was and the screenplay was, etc., etc., after the movie when we consumed it independently. But that's a very interesting question you've picked on, Krishna. And I would love, I mean, as a technologist myself, I would love to see how during co-watching, how do you
yes,
create these, personalized experiences for people.
yeah,
And nowadays, he also is used to hearing the audio descriptions, by the way. If we co watch, he has to hear it. And many times, he also feels like, that's a respite to his eyes at times because he closes his eyes in between and sort of hears the audio description as well
nice.
along with me. So it's not just helping people with low vision or blindness, but also everybody take that screen time off for even that 5 minutes in a scene. Yeah.
I'll also go back and try today. I'll just watch a part of the movie with the audio description.
Yeah, yeah. It's so
I'm
nice
also
because I
going to do
don't,
that.
yeah, yeah. Everybody should do that because I would say it will just remove your screen time, right? Like the other day, I
Yeah,
watched like a whole 3 hour movie. And so I usually watch things off my phone and not my laptop. I don't know why. So it was just lying down by my side. I was lying down, looking at the ceiling or closing my eyes and enjoying the content all the way. Yeah.
nice. Thank you. And yeah, let's come back and coming to the business point of view, right? Business and organizations. So, what are the
Yes.
best practices or best like practical steps business and organizations can take to make their spaces more inclusive or accessible? So, be it
Yeah.
both physical as well as digital space.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I would say that luckily, I would say that a lot of businesses and organizations are treating this as a important thing in their, as part of their organization. So it's like one of the top goals, one of the top 4 5 business goals includes an aspect of inclusivity, which is great, right? Like when I had started 8 years back, 9 years back, I was not sure if I should even disclose I have a disability because I was not sure if I would be given the job or not given the job, to a point where people are open about it. So so first of all, I would say that that's really great. The second piece in terms of what businesses could do, both in terms of physical and digital places, right? And let's pick each of that and move with it. I think physical spaces, there are a lot of there are a lot of companies who are, like, I think including Giftable, given Krishna what you said earlier, who do like these audits, right? Who's the beauty about this audit is people sort of look at your entire physical space and sort of make sure that all of your physical spaces are accessible for people with different disabilities. Unfortunately, one size doesn't fits all the disabilities, or in fact even one type of a disability, right? So it's really, if somebody is, if a business is really serious about making their physical infrastructure accessible, I would say starting with an audit with some reputed organization who are certified to do so. And I'm pretty sure once that happens, there will be like this huge list that you will get, which will have a lot of big infrastructure pieces versus some which are very low hanging fruits as well, right? So I would say, instead of being overwhelmed with the long list of big things, I think doing small things also makes it a long way. So let's take a few examples from a physical infra, which are like small things, right? I'm not talking about like, oh, big things wherein the infra itself has to change in terms of, oh, can you make sure the color contrast is maintained, and etc etc. But
Yeah.
like simple things, for example, if there are stairs that are in the facility, could all of the stairs have like these stripes, like colored stripes at the edge of the stair? So if a person who is low vision and or who is no vision and is trying to get down or get up the stairs, they understand the depth perception because of a different color pattern or a strip that is painted, for example, along the stairs at the corner. There could be like tactile mats that are available today for different things. So for example, let's take an elevator as an example, right? I remember I was visiting one of my aunts, and I was alone, and I got into the apartment, and I told her, okay, no, I'll come to your place. Don't worry. Things are pretty accessible, right? Were pretty accessible because I visited her place in the past. So I get into the elevator, and suddenly I realize that a couple of things. The elevator itself is changed now, so things are no longer accessible. The tactile marking of which floor, all the buttons and everything available on the panel has now become touchscreen. And so I had no idea what floor I was, what, forget floor, what button I was even touching and clicking. At the same time, once the lift stopped, I just thought, and there was nobody else in the lift, that is what I could sense. I thought, okay, this is the floor I want to, with whatever intelligence I did to use the panel, and I got off. And I realized it was not the floor. And that is because there was no audio announcement of which floor the elevator was stopping into. Yes, there's a panel with some, digital panel, but then a person with low vision or no vision cannot really read that panel many times, right? So simple things like making sure there's tactile marking in your elevators, at your pantry area, your rooms, like if there are conference rooms and there are names given to it. So making sure they are all marked tactile, at the very least, if not braille. So tactile and
Mm.
braille marking would be absolutely amazing if you could add like simple audio announcements in the lifts, because these things are not requiring you to change your infra. It's just like few things that you could add on to your existing infra. Yes, there are a bit of extra, like a heavy, like extra items in terms of, can you also mark your flooring with tactile? So for example, if not through the entire company, like make sure from a low vision perspective, at least from the entrance, like your gate to like the security area, right? If at least that part, or the reception area, if at least that part has tactile floor markings, people with low vision or people who are using a cane with could like follow the tactile marking and reach a point wherein after which they could, you know have people to help because they've reached the reception or the security guard for that matter. So I think physically, I've just taken examples of like these 4 or 5 things that I've said, which could just be simple add-ons to your existing infrastructure to make it accessible. From a digital infrastructure perspective, again, I would start with a digital audit. So, not just physical audits, there are companies who do
Yes.
digital audits of all the tools and the technologies that a company or a business uses, to make sure that they comply with the digital accessibility standards with these different tools like magnification and screen reader, etc., that we've spoken about. So, that would be really helpful. And again, simple habits, right? I would say, so making if you are a company who are making tools yourselves or products yourself, can you make sure you include, I think, discussion about accessibility and inclusive design right from day one? So I think that would be super helpful, because once you are building a new tool yourself, making it sure it is accessible from day one is absolutely amazing. And if as an employee of an organization, everybody should start creating, inclusive content and accessible content. What I mean
Yes.
by that, if you are basically writing an email, or anything, or a message in a chat messages, because these days more than emails, instant messaging is happening, or even in businesses, like, don't try and include a lot of text as images, right? Because if a person is using a magnifier and you are trying to magnify the image could get pixelated, and hence they might lose some text that is written as part as an image, right? A lot of people keep sending. Now, this is if a person is using magnifier, they lose it. If a person is using a screen reader, um, the image will just say image unless you have added something like an alt text. So if you right click on any image, if you put it in a Word document, a PPT, or Outlook email, an instant message, anything, there is this option called edit alt text that comes, which really was built with a different intention in mind. But you open that and you write the description of what that image is, so that a person who is not able to see, who has low vision or no vision, when they are using the technology and they encounter this image, it reads that invisible alt text instead of like just saying it's an image, right? Like, what do you know if it's just an image?
Yeah.
And go creative in writing what you want. Don't just say it's a screenshot of a mobile phone. I mean, that gives me nothing as a reader, right? You are the author. You use that image with a certain thing in mind. Like, you wanted to depict that, oh, look at this. This is such a beautiful array of colors, and there's a person in this, and etc., etc. So depending on what you were using to depict the image for, I think, write all of that. It's invisible. The person who is blind can hear it through the screen reader and enjoy. So these are few aspects that you could do to make sure that your everyday, documentation, your communication is also inclusive. When you're pointing out to things in meetings, read out what it is, because not only it benefits people with low vision, no vision. What if somebody else is interpreting it differently? And,
Yeah.
if you're just saying, hey, as you can see, something is on the screen, instead of just saying that, hey, the top left of the screen depicts this pie chart, and as you see, the sales was maximum for this particular region, etc. So give out those details when you speak, which helps you emphasize your point as a presenter, and it also becomes an inclusive practice for everybody. So I think, yeah, businesses could start with these tips. I think audits are at the top of it, but at least the few tips of making sure every small additional physical infrastructure pieces could be added, and also digitally, everybody does their part in making inclusive content. Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Nidhi. And yeah, like as you told, right, we also do a physical audit, digital audit, and we're happy that companies are organizations are coming to us and asking to get their spaces audited, right, so that they are making those changes and
Yeah.
becoming more inclusive. Yeah.
My request, Krishna, to all of you is, when you give your audit reports, keep the low hanging fruits at the top of the list. Because if something requires a big infrastructure change, people get disappointed and they don't go through the rest of the report altogether.
Got it. Yeah, we do it based on the priorities, right? So which is very
Yeah.
important on, yeah, which
Yeah.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Makes sense.
Yes. And yeah, the next question is like, are there any upcoming projects or initiatives you are excited about in the realm of accessibility when it comes
Yeah.
to like the new technologies or AI, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
what
No,
excites
no,
you?
you took my answer. But yeah, as a technologist myself, I'm really like very optimistic, very excited about how we could use AI and the I mean AI has been there in around the corner, but the recent developments in GPTs that we've seen, right? GPT-4,
Yeah,
GPT-4 has to offer in terms of image descriptions and the vividness in terms of the image descriptions these models are providing and the applications we will build on top of it for people with low vision, right? So I think Be My Eyes in this space has has been the pioneer, and they picked Be My AI as a opportunity. They partnered with GPT, and today I think everybody in the low vision and blindness community uses that particular application on their mobile to get image descriptions and specific questions answered of different kinds of images, right? I'm so excited that now I don't need to, like, there's some image that comes on WhatsApp, I don't need to ask everybody, hey, what is this about? Instead, use this facility to sort of understand the description, the image in greater detail. So the other day, it was my mom's 60th birthday in December, so I gifted her a sari, and so looks like within a week she wore it for a festival, and I didn't know, I mean, she wore it, and my father just sent a image to me, and no alt text, right? See, so bad, even after telling at my personal home only people will forget. So I was like, okay, on a general day I would have asked him, okay, what is this picture about? But I thought, let me just use this technology. So I used it, and it described, oh, the woman is in her mid 60s, whatever, wearing this black gold sari which has this detail, etc., etc. And then
wow,
my question to him was, is this the sari I gifted? Instead of like asking what is the picture about.
yeah.
And it went into a lot of detail about, what is the background, what is my mother wearing, how is she standing, etc., etc. So it was amazing, right? So I'm really excited about the possibilities and the applications now. The possibilities are there, but how people are going to apply all of these in their daily lives. Yeah.
I think the way you explained, right, it gave more description than what we usually uh, put in our alt text.
No, that is very true. So I remember having this vivid conversation with my husband. Is now, you could use Be My AI or Be My Eyes instead of asking me about what is this image or what does this dress look like, because I would show him, like, as a girl I like shopping, right? So I'd show him and like, okay, what is the pattern on this? And boys, being boys, again, no stereotype, but he would say, oh, it is like a strip, like it's a striped thing, and then actually it's a check, it's not striped. But like people don't know, like he doesn't know how to explain if it is a striped versus check versus wave versus what. So this detailing and all, also these just and so he's like, please use that instead of me as the first line of defense.
I
Yeah.
think today I got more things to try it, check out. This is the second one which I need to try
Yeah,
out
so
today.
Be My Eyes is the app, and then Be My AI is I mean, yeah, it's a third party app, but yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
Great. I think yeah, we are almost coming to the end of the time. But
Yeah.
before that, so I want you to kind of share your like your message. Like, is there any message for people who are still facing challenges, right? In with people with low vision, and also
Yeah.
what kind of advice can you give for individuals or organizations who are like a
Yeah.
kind of taking the initial steps towards DNI and trying to
Yeah.
become more inclusive for people with visual impairment?
Sure. So I think I'll break it into two. I think the businesses are, as I spoke earlier, one size doesn't fit all. Unfortunately, but fortunately, that's true. I mean, we are all unique human beings, and so is the disability. Even if it is a similar kind of disability, no two people have the same kind of needs. So I think just trying to, pick few specific areas and saying we really want to make sure we go to the extent where it really becomes a usable experience for somebody with one disabilities to start with, would really help you sort of open it up for all disabilities. So it could be anything, pick one, go deep, But don't stop there. Make sure it becomes an inclusive thing, like an environment for everybody. So I would just say one size doesn't fit all. So please keep that in mind while you start on this journey, and go all in. I think for people who are low vision themselves, who have low vision themselves, and encounter this either from birth or later in life, and maybe are starting their journey with different organizations right now, I would say just don't hesitate. I would say, like, embrace the condition that you have, embrace the fact that it is going to change with time, if it is that kind of a medical condition. And then, like, do not hesitate to ask for help. Like, of late I have encountered, as Krishna was saying, I mentored a lot of people, and of late I have encountered a few folks who have like just come to us, or anybody whom I know in the circle, to ask for help at the nth moment, right? And it becomes really difficult to help somebody at the nth moment, while there were, challenges that the people would have been facing for last 2 years in the company, or so I think just be open with the fact that, yes, while we all want to be independent, we all want to push the boundaries, but push the in a concentric circle, the inner circle. But always remember that there's an external boundary which will stop you, and don't hesitate to ask for help, and then you can figure out solutions for yourself once you get the required help. If you think it is a repetitive help you need, one could figure out solutions together. Yeah, so I think those would be my two things as messages.
Thank you so much, Nidhi. And so yeah, thank you for all your sharings, your experiences, and so personally, I learned a lot today, right? And I also got some checklists to explore myself,
That's
and
nice. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for your time, and yeah, let's open it up for the audience, right? Like we have another like 10 minutes. If audience wants to share any, ask any questions.
Or share your anecdotes about anything. Yeah.
Yeah, Pritam wanted to add something. So, Pritam, if you want to start.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Hi, Nidhi. Great session.
Hey,
Thank you so
Pritam.
much for that.
Yeah.
So, one quick thing I wanted to add about organizations wanting to be inclusive, it is quite important for the leaders to be vocal about it, for them to talk about their intent to be inclusive and their intent to make systems and processes accessible. Even though their accessibility initiatives might be limited in scope, if they start talking about it and they make other employees aware, that makes things a lot easier for employees with disabilities. So even though there might not be an intervention, if the employee knows that the organization is inclined that way, they'll be more willing to accommodate and to make things accessible. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. No, I thank you so much, Preetham. And I would say great point, especially because a lot of times I just wanted to add on that. A lot of times, especially in like larger organizations like MNCs, you might not know, like, your team or a particular manager or a particular business unit might not know, but there are interventions, or there are facilities, that or accommodations that are being provided in a different part, in a different business unit of the same organization. And a lot of times, the not having visibility or awareness about that itself puts managers or leaders in a situation wherein they're not sure if there is enough precedence of anything in terms of accessibility practices, and hence they let go of a lot of potential candidates, and a lot of potential candidates do suffer in this process as well. So thank you so much for bringing that up, Preetham. And that's a really interesting thing we have seen in organizations that happen, especially the larger ones.
Yeah, thank you, Pritam. And there's a question from Anup. The question goes like, in situations where people who may not fully understand your disability offer nonverbal social gestures and acknowledgements in professional or social settings, which you may not recognize due to your visual challenges. Do you feel it affects? Do you feel it affects your confidence and social connections?
Yeah. It does. I would say there are two couple of things. One is the social aspect of it. So just the fact that there's leadership visiting, there's like you are in situations wherein maybe you are surrounded by a lot of people whom you could have benefited just if you knew that the person was standing or the person was around so that you could approach the person. Definitely sort of plays a crucial role, right? Especially when like leadership visits and all happen and people are coming visiting from a different business unit, different organ, different geography, etc. That does happen at workplace many a time important meetings, right, not able to read the room and the verbal and so the non-verbal cues that happen. um, like even in this, right, I'm not sure if I should move ahead, or folks have understood, they got bored, should I change the topic because people are not smiling, they're not happy, they look bored. So all of this it happens in every meeting, every conversation you're part of. There are ways people sort of, especially at your workplace and all, you try and have solutions for this in different ways by having people around you sort of tell if there's an important person, like you were really keen to talk to a person, I make sure that people around me are know about it. So if sometimes I'm in that kind of a situation, they come and they help me. In very important meetings, I do have like maybe somebody else in the team sort of give me those cues, either on chat messages or on like in a virtual meeting, or if it is a personal meeting, like make them sit nearby so they could like give you small cues that okay, I think the room has got it. Go ahead. So sometimes it's external help, sometimes it's instinct that you develop because of ways people react, especially with people whom you work with at a regular basis. But that's a constant piece of struggle for sure.
Yeah, thank you, Nidhi, for sharing that, answering that, and yeah, any other questions? Yeah, Anup says thank you.
Anup says thank you with a smile.
Thank you so much.
Which is behind that camera.
Yeah, I think great. This is an example of the non-verbal cue.
No, exactly. No, and when you're saying that, I was just thinking. So during pandemic, I started doing awareness by doing songs in sign language, just to spread awareness about
That's
sign
nice.
language. Yeah. So I'm just thinking. You try to focus on one disability, but something or the other, how you could make it more. Although you add alt text and all, but then at times it's like, how do we get that wholesome experience?
Yeah, yeah. It's tough. It's tough. That's why
Yeah,
I said one size doesn't fit all, unfortunately.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
you have to start with some scope and move ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, Anup says you read me. Yeah.
Awesome. I hope everybody sort of enjoyed the session. I spoke about a lot of technology, and since I and Krishna wanted to be more like a chat, we didn't really like play a lot of videos or PPTs or anything around it because we really wanted it to be more of a chat. But if you're interested in knowing more about like resources about any of these specific things that I spoke about, do like write to Krishna or me, and then we could send out I could send some pointers. If that could help anybody, that is great. Sorry, I have like really bad throat, so I'm sounding like way not excited than I usually am. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and thank you, Nidhi. In spite of your health, take care. Kind of you took that time and
No, no, of
gave
course,
it.
that happens. I mean, what I mean is that that's a part and parcel of life. I should say again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Gift table team, Pratna, Krishna, Poonam. I think they would love to, do more and be part of more things that you all do. But and thank you so much for everybody who attended. And please reach out to me. I think Krishna or Poonam, if you could give my credentials, I have my personal email and my organization email, depending on what kind of work it's there for me.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And thank you everyone for, yeah, taking
Sure,
your time
Nidhi.
and joining. for the fireside chat.
Yep. Thank you so much, everybody. Had a lovely time.